Cubers of the Cash. Gary B, the Casual Comic Guy here, and joining me as every Thursday, we got my good buddy Digger Jim. Jim, what's up, sir?
Hi from way over here. Hi.
Right? Hold on, we can fix that. There you go.
Yeah,
we're gonna Hollywood Squares this.
Yeah, Hollywood Square it.
Right. I'd like to say Cliff for the block.
Right. And of course, joining us just 2 nights later, again, we have Cliff again in the co-hosting seat. Good evening, Cliff. Nice to see you, sir.
My pleasure to be here, and yours as well.
You guys just missed the hissy he had backstage. He's okay now, though.
Oh my God.
And of course, back again from 2 nights ago when he had his own 10-1-1. We have green shirt guy Reinaldo. How you doing tonight, sir?
What's going on?
Not much. Great to have you back. And of course, the man of the hour, we have the producer, Sam, from the Council of Comics. Sam, how you doing this evening, sir? Thank you for coming to the show.
Thank you for having me on, Gary. Pleasure to be here. Pleasure.
What is with the silence, Gary? This never happens. What just happened?
He's moving in the Matrix form. Don't you say he's like, ooh, he's dodging bullets right now.
He might be in slow motion. He might
What I'm telling you is when you're ready, you won't have to dodge them.
All right, I'm back. I tell you what.
Oh, it's
This windstorm is messing with my internet tonight, so I need Cliff and Jim to really take control for me. Sometime.
Yeah, because you're frozen.
Sam, the quick 2 minutes. Yes. Who are you? I'm still frozen?
No, you're fine.
You're horrendous. Okay. All right. So, again, Sam, thank you for coming on the show. Sorry that I'm having a windstorm right now and it's messing with everything. But it's a pleasure to have you, a pleasure to meet you. And, of course, I reached out right away when Cliff told me I should have you on. Graciously, you accepted. I appreciate it. You should have held out because I had to pay Reinaldo money. You could have got paid.
Wait a minute. Wait, Ronaldo, you got paid?
I mean, but thank you for coming on. So, for the benefit of the audience and for those catching us on the rewind, who are you? What channel can they find you on? A little bit about your IG. Of course, your links are in the description below for anybody looking. Give us that. We'll say hi to the chat, and then we'll come back to you.
All right. Well, I am Sam, a.k.a. the producer. I started the channel, The Council of Comics, about 3 years ago. I want to say 3 or 4 years ago. It started during the pandemic. What happened was I was a comic book collector from when I was a kid, around 10 years old to about like maybe 14 years old, and I collected. And then I kind of like stopped collecting and would visit shops every week. And it was only when I got like maybe into my mid-20s, I started collecting again, and then I stopped again. But during the pandemic, I was just sitting out on my bed and watching Comic Tom. And I'm like, this guy has a YouTube channel about comic books. I know about comic books. I love comic books. I could do this too.
Right.
And then I said, okay, first thing I knew, I need a name. And I started coming up with all these different things. And then when the Council of Comics hit, my brain just went, psh, that's what it is. And it actually started before these guys. There's a prelude group to the Council of Comics, which is
there's an OG group.
Yeah,
Oh,
Sean
man.
and Steve, we get together and we would go to different comic shops and collect, and we would buy everything. And one day we visited a shop in Hyde Park. It was called Alterniverse, and we went in there, and it was a small shop. And this pandemic, they had everything covered and all that. And we met Anthony for the first time, and it was pretty cool. Blah blah blah. And then he said he would do CGC books. He was like, "Oh, we'll bring him back." So like a month later, he got the bigger shop that you see in the videos now, and we went in there and we sent in some books. And then all of a sudden, like this would just show up every 3 weeks, then every 2 weeks, then every week. And I found out me and Cliff used to go to high school together. So small world that this was his comic book shop.
Well, I was going to ask you when, you had your OG group and then you started scraping the bottom of the barrel. So when did that happen?
Maybe have to pay Cliff.
I walked into alternatives and said, I guess this is it. But then I met Reinaldo. I met the rest of the guys. And then every week we would just be there buying books. And then one day I was just like, I'll just film this for fun. Let me just film it and whatever, And then it just developed week after week after week after week. And to the show that we have now, we won 2 awards for it, as Green Shirt Guy loves to point out.
Multiple awards.
Multiple award-winning shows.
Multiple are more ambiguous. It sounds like more.
Yeah, and we decided to start doing skits. Like these skits, we would just be funny in the shop. So then one day it was just like, let's just make a skit to be like funny. And then it just started developing, and every time now we challenge ourselves. We gotta have a skit every week. Every week we have a skit.
The skits.
Yeah, and that's basically where we're at now. We hit 1,000 subscribers. We're in our
congratulations.
Thank you. We're in our 1,000 subscriber giveaway this month. So if you watch the channel and you get a duck, you get entered in the end of the month contest, and the prize this month will be close to $1,000.
Now, also, Cliff, you're close to 1K as well, aren't you?
Yes, and I'll celebrate in January, my birthday month, because I'm that bitch.
Now, I got to ask you, since I've known Cliff for a little while now, is he as passionate about talking about comics and gets as heated in the comic shop as he does online?
Oh, it's like I told you backstage. We only see half of what Cliff puts out there. I'm telling you, you only see half of it. We get some stuff. I'm like, okay, I can't put this out. This is too much.
A lot of reality shows, they blow up the person's personality, so it's a heightened version. Ours is the scaled down version of Cliff.
Yeah.
I had no idea there was a scaled down version.
This is what we're trying to tell you, Gary. This is what we're trying to tell you.
No, but so of course, sub these guys up. They just hit 1K. Cliff is almost to 1K. You want to get him there too.
Okay, he hit 1K.
You did? Oh, congratulations! I
did. You know, whoring myself out on YouTube 500 times a month is really paid off.
There you go.
I mean, with an occasional Cliff bot, you're all good.
Actually, the bot thing is hilarious because that went on for like what, a month?
Yes. So we would get like our average would be like 20 to 30 viewers. Then all of a sudden it was 150 viewers, and we're like, "Oh my god, we blew up!" And then we're like, "Wait a minute, none of these guys are responding."
Nobody
got attacked by hackers, is what happened.
So we blamed it all on Cliff. Was what we did.
Gotcha.
I mean, it sounds like a solid plan.
I wish I had money. I wish I had money for bots. I was like, "Ooh," but like, I was like, "Thanks for the gift."
Like first
Bots,
in,
strippers,
right? First in, as always, Las Cruces. Then one of my favorite people, Erotic Comics. Joe, how you doing tonight, sir? Brad Wellbore from Canada. Good evening, sir. Great to see you, Brad. He's saying panel, chat, and guest. There, a generic hello. Cliff on Comics saying hi. The brotheriest brother out there, Brother John.
It's good.
Brian LCS, good evening.
Brian
Good
LCS.
evening, brother. Mark Andrews, good evening, Mark. Great to see you. We have Couch in a Slouch with C Bizzle. Good evening.
Bizzle.
Got Jim saying hello. We have Phil Spencer coming up here pretty soon.
Phil.
It's the 17th or 19th. I can't remember.
17th.
Phil will be on with a Laserdisc edition.
Oh, his Laserdisc collection is incredible. That's going to be a great
19th.
show. That's going to be a great show.
Oh, Thursday. Sorry. Wait, the 17th year with me, Gary.
Yes, I am.
hope you're ready for a treat.
The aforementioned Dr. Von Hoots, we were talking about you backstage, DVH. All of us had good things to say about you except for Jim.
That's not true, DVH.
Jerry the Jitterbug, great to see you. One of my all-time favorite people. I just did a Jerry the Jitterbug binge this morning on YouTube. It was great. And let's see who else we got popping in. We have a lot of chat going on. We have Canadian Survivalist. Good evening, sir. You know, I really do, Mark. I do need an assistant. So you're hired.
Yeah.
But I will keep giving, as usual, a tip of the hat to those who are joining us as they're getting their notifications and popping in randomly. But tonight, Sam, regardless of what Reinaldo and Cliff may think, this is all about you. So let's start out with your first book, sir.
Oh,
My first book.
There we go. The big
All right.
spotlight's yours.
Here we go. Tell me what you think about this. My first book is Guardians of the Galaxy #1 from Jim Valentino. I forget who the writer was. I don't know if it was Starlin or not, but I love this book because I was fresh into reading comics, and I love this guy. Where's he at? Right here, Vance Astro.
Vance Astro.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Because he had Cap's shield, and this was in the 31st century. So I'm a big person about lore and backstory. So I was like, I need to hear that story. How did he get Cap's shield? So that was pretty good. And of course, you know this guy here from the movies.
Young
So
dude.
in the comics, he was in the 31st century. He wasn't in present time.
Right.
Right.
So they changed that. And this was just a really, really one of my favorite books. I happened to get another one again because the one I had was all beat up, and I wanted to find a good copy, and I could never find a good copy. But I finally found a good copy. But this is a great, great read, and it puts you in the future of the Marvel Universe back then. So I really, really love that book.
And their cosmic stuff at that time was just on point. It was so
Oh
good.
yes. Oh yes.
Now you just brought up the shield and it being with Vance in the 31st century. Now, how cool would it be if we just got like a one shot, right? 60 pages, like double size, triple size, whatever. And it's just the shield is indestructible, right? What if it was just a story about the shield passing hands all these different generations?
Oh, that would be cool.
And like
That would be cool.
8 pages with a different hero in a different generation that has the shield.
That
There's
would be
the
awesome.
history of the shield.
Yeah, and how it finally lands in Vance Astro's hands and how he's got it and stuff.
Yeah, then on to the next generation, on to the next generation.
That would be dope. That would be dope. Has to be written by Jim Starlin. Has to be written by Jim Starlin.
That was all Jim Valentino.
That book was all Jim Valentino?
All him, yes.
Wow.
Interesting if it was lost for a number of years and somebody found it.
Right? It's
Yeah,
not a bad idea.
Well, when we start this series, it is lost, and he fights to go get it.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And it's really interesting because this Vance Astrovic is based on the Vance Astrovic we know who was in Marvel 2-in-1 with the Thing.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And but that Vance Astrovic hanging out with him is the young guy that becomes Marvel Boy for the New Warriors.
Yes.
Yes.
So yeah, the later crossovers were so good. So good.
Well, I mean, so is Vance Astro one of your favorite characters then, Sam?
No. I just love the fact in that story that he had that shield and he was
Okay, 'cause
carrying the
he's pretty-
legacy of Captain America.
Yeah, he's a pretty underutilized character.
Yeah.
Like there's potential there and they never do anything with it.
Yeah.
All right,
Second
number
book?
2, sir.
Well, you mentioned the cosmic stuff, so I have to bring it out. The Infinity Gauntlet #1. In my opinion, the greatest event in comics history.
Ooh,
Yes,
right there.
in my opinion. I was getting into comics, and they just started this Infinity Gauntlet. I remember there was the Thanos quest before this, but I never picked it up, so I didn't know. But I knew what it was, but I never picked it up. But when I saw this cover on the stand, I said, "Oh, I got to get that." And wait a minute, it was $250.
right. And I think that covers
was
everybody's
$250.
money.
Yeah, it was $250, which was a lot of money back then for a book. But it had George Perez. I didn't know who George Perez was at the time, but he was drawing this, and it just looked great. And then the story was the first issue was just phenomenal because Thanos was trying to impress Death, right? And he's trying to impress her through the whole thing. Mephisto is right next to him in his ear, telling him these little things. And then the moment he comes up with, "Oh, I know exactly what to do to win your love." And then when he raises his hand up, and Mephisto's like, "Oh, he's gonna do it," and he snaps. And then I believe that's the end of the issue where he snaps his finger, because the next issue, the cover, they're all looking on the monitors and everything's gone all crazy already because everybody had been snapped. But the whole series, you can see where Infinity War has its place with the movies and Endgame with this. That's why Endgame, the end of Endgame was phenomenal. Not Endgame, Infinity War was phenomenal because we all knew we wanted to see the snap.
Right.
We all wanted to see the snap, and we didn't know if we were gonna get the snap because the movie was totally different than this story. But we're like, oh, we're gonna get to see the snap, and then Thor comes, throws the hammer down at him, gets him. I was like, oh, they won. I wonder what.
Should have went for the head.
We know the second movie's coming, right? So we're like, oh, what's the second movie going to be? He's like, you should have gone for the head. And then Thor's like, no, when he snaps it. One of the greatest moments in movie history right there, to me. One of the greatest right there. And then it goes right into him looking at Gamora, and Gamora asking him, well, what did you lose, or what did it cost you? And he's like, everything. And it's like, you felt for Thanos. Like, how can you feel for Thanos? And then he ends the movie like the way the Infinity Gauntlet ends, when he goes to the planet with the farm and that famous drawing of his costume as a scarecrow, and they put that in the movie, and then he sits on the steps, and this like music that's kind of eerie but kind of good as well, and he just smiles, and it was the end of the movie. I said, oh, that's the best movie ever. That was the best movie
well, he is
ever.
the hero of that movie.
Yes. And then all the characters started to disappear, and they're like,
I was going to ask how you thought they did with the dusting.
They did great with the dusting, because who would have thought that they were going to dust Black Panther? Who thought that they were going to dust like Winter Soldier, Spider-Man? Oh my goodness, who thought? It was great. And then with that moment where that movie's so great. That moment where Thanos stabs Tony. And I'm like, oh, they're gonna kill Tony Stark in the first movie. Oh my God. But he ends up being alive. But that book, I swear, Infinity Gauntlet is a big moment in comics history.
Now, as cool as that is, you know what? If we're talking about an adaptation of George Perez art to screen, I would love to see Maestro and just that panel of just his whole lair with all the heroes' trophies around that he's defeated. Like
Could we
how
see that in Secret Wars?
Thought that would be right, sweeping through that area.
You think we see that in Secret Wars?
Who knows? I mean, I would think that would have to be its own trilogy.
Yeah, I don't think that would be
Maestro. I think if you do that in one movie, you don't do it justice. You got to see. You got to see Hulk turning into that. You gotta see the whole process. That's got to be,
which was great. I love that series too, with him. Where they tell how he becomes Maestro, because Maestro wasn't even. He took it from somebody else.
Yeah, exactly.
Maestro. Yeah.
And I like the ones that they came out with that Peter David still wrote. The last couple of years, I thought were really well done too.
Yeah, and then didn't they do a version of that animated? They did a version of that animated. I believe.
I don't think it was Maestro. They had a Young Avengers movie with an old Hulk in it.
Was that what it was?
Yeah.
That movie was really good. I was surprised when I watched it how much I enjoyed it.
I enjoyed that.
All right, number 3, sir.
Number 3, moving along. All right. We call this guy He Who Shall Not Be Named.
Don't do it on here. It still counts here.
We say that because we feel like every time we say one of these great names, we keep saying it, we might lose them. You know what I mean? So we don't want to lose them. But long shot number 1.
Nice.
Drawn by He Who Shall Not Be Named. Where is he? Right there. And this is one of his early art, and you can tell because the way he draws faces and stuff. Let me see if I can show it to you. This is inked, funny enough, by Portacio.
Really?
Oh, so
look
you're
at-
doing Portaccio.
Yeah, to throw him under the bus.
I love Portaccio. But you can tell, like, it's different early Art Adams.
Yeah.
Oh, you did.
Uh-oh.
Oh no, I said it. I'm sorry.
Christmas. You're gonna just ruin Christmas.
I'm so sorry. But like you can tell in his
How you doing, sir?
his faces and stuff that he's just like it's new. And I just love it. All the covers for this are phenomenal. Longshot is one of my favorite characters. When I first started reading the X-Men, I have one of those books here too. He was one of the X-Men along with Dazzler, Wolverine, Rogue, Havoc, and he was just one of my favorite characters. He had luck. He had the best of luck. He could get around everything. And he had those little cool throwing knives things that were pretty cool. So yeah, that's one of my favorites as well.
Nice. So Gore said Longshot came out of nowhere. He remembers picking it up at the newsstand. He thumbed through it, was immediately impressed and surprised because he was drawn like a pro, and yet he was new to him.
Right.
Yeah. He is the man. AA. He shall not be named.
I always mention, like, there's one thing that he drew that I really liked, and that was his Creature of the Black Lagoon comic, his one shot. Have you ever seen that one? It's really cool.
Not the interiors. I haven't seen the interiors.
It's a fun read too.
Did he write it?
I don't know. I'd have to take it out and I'd have to look for it and take it out and see. I don't remember if he did or not anymore. I know he did the R. I want to say he didn't write it, but it was like a universal one shot. But a lot of fun. All right, number 4.
Number 4.
So far you've been stuck in with the cosmic characters, because I consider Longshot a little bit cosmic.
Yeah, he's a bit cosmic. He's Mojo.
He's not really on the scale of those guys. He's got like his own little weird corner of the cosmos.
All right, so I'll bring it back down. This was one of my favorite 4-issue series. I've read it 100 times. It was one of my first books. Cloak and Dagger.
Oh yeah,
number 1.
I love Cloak and Dagger.
What a great story this was. Right. Just dealing with the streets and drugs and how they're taking care of each other. And I believe it was Leonardi is the artist, I believe.
Oh, Rick Leonardi.
Rick Leonardi. And it was just the contrast of like Dagger and Cloak and how they cared for each other so much and everything that they went through. Just love this book so much. And every time I see it, I pick it up. If it's in good condition, I pick it up because I want more people to read this. This 4-issue series was like very adult and mature. And for a kid like 10, 12 years old reading it, it kind of blew my mind of how.
Well, they came out in the original Spider-Man though, right? I mean that if I remember reading it, it was I think when they came out, it was fitting because there was a lot
Spectacular, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was Spectacular. Yeah. You know, I think I gave mine away to one of the people in the VIP chat, Gary, or I sold it to him or whatever. I don't remember, but yeah, I remember. I think it was Spectacular. Pretty sure, but it was at a time when the drugs were really bad,
problematic.
Well, I like their Marvel graphic novel. I like too.
Yeah.
And they continued on. They had an ongoing series after this. That was just as good in my eyes. But yeah, one of my fave. Go get this limited series and get it cheap. You can get it cheap out there. But if you want a great story, that's a great story, right
there. We go. Thank you, Mark. Peter Parker, Spectacular Spider-Man.
That's what it was. That's what it was.
All right, next up.
Thank you, Christina.
You ready for this?
Oh yeah, let's see it. Amazing
Spider-Man 328. Todd McFarlane, Acts of Vengeance, Cosmic Spider-Man. This was the whole, like, McFarlane was it for me with Spider-Man. Like, I know I wasn't reading Spider-Man, but once I started seeing Amazing and then started flipping through them, and I'm like, oh my God, this guy drawing Spider-Man is just at that time, this is amazing. Oh, no pun intended, but this is phenomenal.
Yeah, it was just so different.
Yeah, like his poses, like
Right.
all up in. He was the first one to do the webs with the circle things around them, and
Right,
made them
right.
look like they were shooting out, and like I feel like he was the first one, along with like Liefeld, who would make these kind of things, but in the book. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like covers, but in the book,
Right?
Like big splash pages and stuff.
What caught me is how dynamic he made the mask, like the eyes. The
Yeah,
eyes were just so good. Like I loved what he did with the eyes of Spider-Man, of the
Yeah.
mask.
Mhm.
and I remember he was doing Hulk before this, but I wasn't picking up Hulk, and I remember seeing it. I remember seeing that Wolverine, Hulk. Didn't pick it up. I remember seeing it. I didn't pick it up. But this was the Cosmic Spider-Man story, and he was fighting against the Gray Hulk, and he just got so upset with the Hulk that he punched him into like outer space, and it was like the first time anybody had actually hit the Hulk like that. I love the Cosmic Spider-Man storyline where he's Captain Universe. Captain Universe. They had the Omni power.
I like that costume he had as it too. That was cool.
Yeah. So Amazing Spider-Man 328. Love this book. Sticking with the Hulk theme, these were my Hulks when I was growing up. I loved this Hulk. Hulk 372. The Dale Keown.
Yeah.
Incredible Hulk. This was a storyline. Like I just loved the way he drew the Hulk too. He had a small head, big arms, big legs, and very, very action packed. But this storyline was Bruce Banner. This was like the return of the Green Hulk because he had gone back to being the Gray Hulk for a while, and it revealed that the Green Hulk was just inside trying to get out the whole time. And they go inside Banner's mind, and it's Gray Hulk and Green Hulk just always constantly fighting each other. And that's why in Endgame we see Professor Hulk. That's the end of this storyline is him becoming that Professor Hulk. So I was kind of like slightly disappointed that we didn't get to see that on film, like his transition.
Right?
He was
just it.
Yeah, he was just there. He was Professor Hulk, and I was just like, this storyline would have been incredible, but they don't have the rights to make Hulk solo
Hulk films. Yeah.
So
Do
they
they now?
couldn't do
Though?
that.
I think, did they acquire them within the last year?
I don't think.
I don't know if anybody's confirmed that, because I think if they confirmed that, they probably would have put a Hulk movie out by now, because that was
or announced one.
Or announced one. You know what I mean? There are the
Paramount's
rumors
gotta let
now
it go.
that they're trying to do a World War Hulk in over a span of movies.
Yeah.
What they're trying to do. But Captain America Brave New World is supposed to be a Hulk-centric movie. Of course, Red Hulk is in it. Supposedly Green Hulk is going to show up. And I think there are going to be some other Gamma things that we see in there. And Rick Jones.
The leader.
Rick Jones sitting by a nuclear bomb site. Let me just pull him away real quick, and everything will be just fine.
It's funny how we haven't done anything with Rick Jones at all.
Well, we know that the MCU series, Rick Jones is just not a part of things. So
yet,
they gave him a little more of the Hulk TV origin instead.
Yeah.
And the reason I thought too is I thought I heard rumblings that the Hulk was 100% back at Marvel, and of course I can't confirm it. But I mean, they hadn't made a movie in a while, and I think you had to put a movie out like every so many years to hold on to those rights.
Yeah, I think they got it back.
So, who was your favorite on-screen Hulk?
Oh, it's Ruffalo. Ruffalo's phenomenal as Hulk. Not too much Professor Hulk, but like Avengers 1 and 2 Hulk. You know what I mean?
Not the neutered Hulk.
Not the neutered Hulk.
Back to being a rage monster.
Yeah, like when we watched the She-Hulk, Like just looking at their height, and I was like, why are they so small?
Well, why was he smaller than Abomination? That's what.
Yeah, like this is Hulk. Why are they so small? Like, what are we doing here? But yeah.
I liked Ed Norton. Ed Norton was okay.
I was gonna say Ed Norton.
He was good. He was good. He just wanted too much control.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Norton, though.
But I'm like, I always have this talk with counsel. So I'm like, the Hulk is bigger than Ed Norton.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Marvel is bigger than Ed Norton. Why would Ed Norton think I'm going to control this character?
But Eric
Yeah.
Bana was a good Hulk too, and nobody ever mentions him.
I love that movie.
Eric Bana is a very good Bruce Banner Hulk, and that movie I thought had some great Hulk moments in it.
That was a good movie.
Yeah.
I thought visually it was a good looking movie.
Yeah, it was like a
with the
comic
moving
movie.
panels and everything.
Yeah.
I'm like that looked like a comic book.
Yeah.
The panels were my favorite part. I think Ang Lee did something interesting, but the story sucked. 45 minutes of movie with no Hulk.
Yeah, I think that's what took me down.
I mean, I have a list of what I didn't like, but I thought Ang Lee's directing was cool. Everything else was not working for me. The acting, they also had a solid crew of actors too.
Right.
My favorite Hulk moment was in the Ed Norton Hulk movie when he has Betty and they're by the little cliff thing.
Mm-hmm.
And the lightning comes and he gets mad and he throws the rock at the lightning like, shut up. I was like, that's Incredible Hulk right there.
The best scene is the one that they cut from that movie where
Which
he tried
one?
to kill himself.
Oh, yes,
but it didn't
yeah.
work.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they couldn't show it because it's a kids movie or whatever, designed for the general audience.
But Nick Nolte, no way. That crazy son of a bitch.
The Absorber.
I feel bad for Nick Nolte because he's clearly old and deranged now, and they just keep making fun of the poor guy instead of giving him help.
Yeah.
That's Hollywood.
Well, you gotta want help.
It's
True. Well, I don't know that he doesn't, so I'm going to assume the best.
I can assure you, you're being very generous.
All right, number 7, sir.
All right, number 7. Oh, this moment in comics for me. Oh my goodness. Uncanny X-Men 248. The first Jim Lee X-Men. Oh my goodness. So I'm reading X-Men, right? And one of the other books I'll show you, that's my precious one. And Mark Silvestri is drawing X-Men at the time. Then all of a sudden, here comes this man, Jim Lee. And I'm flipping through these pages, and I'm like, this is the greatest comic book artist I have ever seen in my life. Like, everything was proportionally perfect. The action was perfect. This was my book. I had such a beat up copy of this because I would just read it and read it and read it and read it and read it. The staples came out of the original.
It's okay. That's what they're for.
I know. And this was the issue that the X-Men were going through some things. They had just Rogue had died in the previous issue. Mm-hmm. She had went through the Siege Perilous fighting the Sentinel. And they were just like on the ropes. Then Nanny comes and then she's trying to capture the X-Men. And at the end of this, Storm is fighting Nanny in the sky, and Havoc is trying. I know Havoc's a little out of the battle, but he still tries to help, and he fires, and he hits Storm, and he kills Storm. And it was just like, yo, did he just really kill Storm? Like, this happens. Like, this happens in the book. Like, did he really kill Storm? And that's how it ends, that he killed her. And I was like, wow, this X-Men, this book during this time with Claremont and Silvestri and Lee, they were just writing and drawing the hell out of this book. This was like when they were in Australia, and this was right after the Mutant Massacre. I believe it was after the Mutant Massacre. The world thought that the X-Men were dead, but I forget what character it was, but she saves the X-Men and gives them a choice if they want to live again, and makes it so that they live, but they don't get detected and the world thinks they're dead. but they go and live in like Australia. And Wolverine during this time gets captured by the Marauders, which leads to that famous scene in Deadpool Wolverine with the X.
Right.
That famous book. That's one of my favorite books right there. So
which is a copy cover of Savage Sword of Conan issue 5.
Is it? I did not know that.
Look at the Savage Sword of Conan 5, and Conan's on the cross. They just did it with an X instead of the big tree.
Okay,
but it's basically the same exact thing.
Yeah, that issue is great. You see Jubilee. That's not her first appearance, but Wolverine starts to have hallucinations and all that, and he's seeing like Nick Fury and Carol Danvers, and they're real to him, but they're not real to anybody else. And it's weird, like through the storyline, like Nick Fury shooting bullets and they're hitting people and the people are dropping, but they're imaginary characters to Wolverine. Right. So it's like, how are they dropping? And Wolverine's just cool with the whole thing. Like he's not budging a beat. He's like, yeah, they're imaginary, whatever. But yeah, man, cool. And yeah, so Uncanny X-Men 248. Boom. And then He Who Shall Not Be Named, he's got that corner piece up there. Let's see if it focuses. Yeah.
I love corner boxes.
Love those things, man. Corner boxes were it. Love the corner boxes. All right. Next up, I'm going to do this one. I'm getting some of my hearts now. Transformers #1.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, Transformers #1. My two big things when I was growing up was G.I. Joe and Transformers. Loved them. And I only recently got this Transformer, I say about a year ago. I never had issue #1. My whole thing is I want to get the full run of the Marvel Transformers run, and I want the full run of G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero. But all
that's a movie poster cover by Sienkiewicz there.
Yeah. This was dope. And the Transformers comic book is so much deeper than people would give it credit for. Simon Furman, I believe, was the writer that they had writing all the Transformers stuff. And he just created a lore that was just so deep, so different from the cartoon. He killed Optimus Prime before I think the animated show killed Optimus Prime. And this book was phenomenal. It says 1 in a 4-issue limited series because it actually went to 4, and they said, let's make it an ongoing. And the next issue was 5 in a 4-issue limited series.
Right.
Yeah. So that was pretty cool. And these books became like rare. These were like top of the line. Like I'm going to show you some other stuff in a second, but back in the days, these were the books that you would get. You know what I mean? Like Transformers and G.I. Joe.
It was funny too, because like with the toy lines, like with ROM and Micronauts and they were just giving them people. Like the regular writers didn't want anything to do with them, so they gave them to all these people that they kind of shoved them off on, like with Bill Mantlo and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And these people just made careers out of taking something nobody else wanted and making greatness out of it.
Hmm. So Dr. Von Hoot, yeah, he says Furman came on a little later. I think that's when I jumped in a little later. But yeah, Transformers #1. All right.
Now, did you read ROM at all? I got to ask, being
no
a generation. Oh wow.
No, I wasn't a ROM reader. Was not a ROM reader.
Oh, wait, that's a foreign edition for me. Mark's Canadian making a joke.
This is a 70. What is 50p? What is p?
Pence.
Pound? Pence?
Pence, yeah.
Pence. What is that? What country is that for?
The UK.
UK.
Oh, it's UK? Okay.
That's Dr. Von Hoot prices.
Yeah.
Okay.
He wishes.
That's off the British pound.
Now it is several pounds, I'm sure.
In Canada, you had to give maple syrup for comics.
No doubt.
Cliff, can you confirm that?
And more because of the exchange rate.
No, the stupid. There was that extra tax that's changed a little bit. Horrible.
All right, number 9, Sam.
Number 9.
Smooth
I'm gonna
state.
go with the last of the run before the first of the run. G.I. Joe 155. The last issue of the Marvel run. This is my
G.I. Joe
only
Marvel.
copy of it. It's pretty beat up. This book in a near mint condition is worth money because toward the end of the run, it was a very, very low print run. And it would get me upset because I would go to the shop. So say like 155. I would go to Walden Books in the Newburgh Mall to pick up my comics. The arcade was right next to Walden Books, and my parents would give me $5. So I knew I had $5 to play arcades and to buy comic books. And the first thing I would do is go into Walden Books, and they had the spiral, the spinner's rack, and I would look for G.I. Joe. And I would get all my G.I. Joes. But then all of a sudden, toward the end of the run, they would go like 147. Then I would go, and I wouldn't. The next should be 149. And I'd be like, well, I missed 148. Then it'd be like 153. And I'd be like, well, what happened to the other ones? And I'm like, does this come out monthly? What's going on here? And, and then this is the last one that I was able to get. And even this one's beat up. But I'm very happy to have this because this book is G.I. Joe was my life as a kid. I used to run home as a kid and watch the animated show because they'd come on Monday through Friday. They'd be
This
on
guy
about,
too.
like,
He
this is
just did
very-
a couple weeks ago. He did an original G.I. Joe action figure 10-1-1.
Really. Oh, I love the action figures. Oh
You're gonna
my
want to watch
God.
his episode. You'll
Oh
nerd
my
out.
God! When remember the Storm Shadow one that came out and he had the tattoos and he's like this with the bow. Oh,
Now you've shown 2 like big franchises in the last 2, so you got to tell us who's your favorite Transformer, who's your favorite Joe.
Yeah.
my favorite Transformer, of course, is Optimus, but I really loved Rodimus Prime. I don't know why, but I really loved Rodimus Prime. But Optimus would be my favorite, and I liked Galvatron more than I liked Megatron. I liked Galvatron. I liked the way he looked. I liked the way he stepped on the scene when he comes back and Starscream they're putting the thing on Starscream and he shows up and he's like, Megatron? He's like, here's a hint, and he transforms and just boom and blows him the smithereens. That's the best. Favorite G.I. Joe? Snake Eyes. All day, every day. Snake Eyes. I put Snake Eyes up against Batman. That's how.
Oh my God.
I put Snake Eyes up against Batman.
Snake.
Fortnite did it.
He's incredible. He's incredible. Which leads to my 10th
Ooh,
G.I. Joe #1.
She went from the end to back to the beginning.
Yes.
Right.
G.I. Joe #1.
he's got the bookends.
Oh
There he
my
goes.
goodness. This was
Classic
it
cover.
right here. Like, because I didn't start off with the early issues. I started off with, like, I would say around Serpentor,
Okay.
like 49,
That
stuff
was
like
mid-
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So going back was like trying to get the back issues. And back then, the back issues were expensive. Like issue 2 was so rare than issue 1, and it was worth so much more than issue 1. But as a kid, I don't have money. I'm stealing money from my brother's his drawers and stuff like that. So I'm getting what I can. So to get this book was really hard. I actually got this. Anthony actually found this for me in a newsstand, and I was like, Anthony, how much do you want for this? And he gave me such a great deal. I was like, Anthony, you got to be kidding me. He's like, no. He's like, I know you love G.I. Joe, and he's like, you need to have that book as part of your collection. And I was just like, I almost started crying because it's in great condition, newsstand. I'll never have to hunt for this book again. First appearance of like so many G.I. Joes. And I think this book is going to be even bigger because I think that when the Joes are introduced in the next Transformers movie, that this is gonna G.I. Joe's finally gonna pop live action.
Do we have any idea when that is?
It hasn't started. It's being written right now. Rumor is that Hemsworth is being looked at to play Duke. And it'll be the Transformers and G.I. Joe. I think trying to go against the beginnings of Cobra or something like that. Kind of like how the Energon universe is right now.
Right.
They're kind of like doing that. But I think this is the time where it's gonna pop, because the last Transformers movie was really good in my eyes. I thought it was really good. I feel like they're on a place now where, okay, no, we can accept this new timeline of Transformers. And I think they want to expand on the Hasbro stuff. And with that end credit with the G.I. Joe card, I was like, okay. Whether that last Snake Eyes movie is part of that canon, I don't think it will be. I think they'll wipe that, because that movie didn't make any money. It was a disappointment. That was not Snake Eyes in that movie. I don't know what they were thinking. I love Larry Hama, but that was the one moment Larry Hama disappointed me, because he had gone on record as saying, this is Snake Eyes. This is what I wrote the character to be. And when I watched the movie, I'm like, this is not Snake Eyes. First of all, Snake Eyes, a very important part of Snake Eyes' life is that he can't talk.
Right.
He's injured and he can't talk. And like, he talks through the whole movie. A big part of Snake Eyes is his face is like it's all messed up from an accident. So that's why he has to wear the mask. But not one time. He shows up at the end of the movie in the full Snake Eyes costume. And I was like, what are we doing? What are we doing here? And that
he didn't like that at all.
Yeah, and it didn't make any money. So it was just like, maybe if you do Snake Eyes right, you'll make some money.
Right.
I'm trying to do something different. And they made him kind of like the villain in the movie. And
well, they haven't really made her like a true G.I. Joe film yet. That's
Yeah.
They keep Hollywoodizing them and just not sticking to.
I enjoyed the first two. I thought Retaliation was the closest thing to a G.I. Joe comic. The Snake Eye, Storm Shadow, Silent. They redid the Silent issue on live action, which was phenomenal. They were jumping from the mountains to mountains in Retaliation. That was really, really good.
I never watched the second one after the first one.
Oh,
I was
you
like,
should watch it. For guilty pleasure, you should watch it, because
Is the second
it's
one
fun.
the one where Cobra Commander's in that is locked up in that
And they free
clinic
him.
or
In,
whatever?
yeah, and they
gotta
free
go
him
break
in the
it down.
beginning.
I actually enjoyed that movie.
And he left Destro hanging.
Yeah.
I was like, you gotta leave Destro there. But it's a very, very good guilty pleasure. Guilty pleasure. Next one, you said you wanted a spec pick, right?
You can do it either way, story or spec.
Let's do spec first.
Okay.
This book is my first graded 9.8 ever. And I think once this comes to being made in live action, that this is going to be a big book. It's by Tynan. It's the secret variant of Department of Truth.
I have those.
Number one. This is the what's that guy's name?
Lee Harvey Oswald.
Lee Harvey Oswald. It's the Lee Harvey Oswald cover.
He may have shot a guy.
Yeah, he may have done that. This book has anybody ever read Department of Truth?
Oh yeah.
Like I've stopped reading it, but the first 5-6 issues I read, and just the fact that what they are, like the fact that myths are coming to life, and they have to investigate why these myths are coming to life, because people are actually fearing things, and their fear, right, is bringing these things to life, and they have to go investigate it, and then to come to find out that he's the one,
right,
that's in charge of the Department of Truth.
Right.
I was like, what? That's crazy.
It's definitely a mind. You know, there's that. Did you see the Bigfoot one? The Bigfoot issue? The Sasquatch, whatever you want to go look at that one. I think that might be up and around 12 or 13 or something. Pull
I'm gonna have to go read the trades and get caught up on this.
Yeah, that's definitely one of my favorite. But yes, go ahead, continue.
But yeah, Tynan says it's optioned. He's working on it. He's writing it. So I think this will be a big book once that show ever drops. If that show ever drops. So, and
because my spec book was an option property too.
Yeah, everything's been optioned at some point in its life. You know, I mean, we got the rights. You know, I mean, it just has to get onto the screen. They have to make it happen.
Yeah. Well, and sometimes they buy properties with no intention of ever putting it on screen, but they buy it so somebody else doesn't get it.
Right. So, like, I mean, I think it was Jeff Lemire said that he sold a property, and they wanted him to help write the script, and then everyone got fired, and they were like, "Yeah, we're willing to release the rights to this. We don't want it." We wish we hadn't, they hadn't spent the money, and he got it back. He got paid and he got the rights back.
That
to the
never
original
happens.
stuff. And that never happens. But evidently they just thought this was not going to be good, and they didn't want to have any more involvement because everyone he had worked with got canned. And that's the way the studio business works. You're there one day, you piss somebody off, and you're gone.
You're gone. All right, and then I guess that leaves the storybook. This was my first comic book that I ever bought, and it shot me into direction. This was even before like G.I. Joe. But X-Men 242.
Oh my gosh, you went deep into the Inferno.
The Inferno. I just looked at that cover and I was like, that's pretty cool. I was like, I think I know that's Wolverine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I was like, I wasn't too sure about others. And then this, like the Inferno storyline, like this was already started.
Yeah.
So when they were like the opening page, and this was like this was $1.50 book. This was, you're paying that extra 50 cents there. This was a thick book. But the opening page is classic. I was like, I like that. Silvestri, like, oh. And the fact that Jean Grey, every time she would kiss Wolverine, would go into a daze. I didn't know if it was because it was his power to do that, or he was just a great kisser. You know what I mean? I did not know. But just to go through it, and then I'm learning the story, and there's Dazzler, Storm, Rogue, Longshot, and they were fighting the original X-Men, which were now X Factor. And I was like, okay. Mark Silvestri and Dan Green, and they were just fighting, and the X Factor had they thought the X-Men were dead.
Right.
So they didn't think they were fighting the real X-Men or something like that. Then you had Archangel. That was like with Wolverine and Archangel going at it. And I'm like, this is incredible. Mark Silvestri, Wolverine, Iceman was in this. This was just like the book that made me be like, oh, I love comic books. I really love comic books. Longshot was, flirting with Dazzler. The infamous little star eye right there. And then they had a little kissy. And then
comic porn for you.
Yeah. And then Cyclops, he was married to Madeline Pryor, but Havoc had the crush on her, like, you know what I mean? He wanted to be with Madeline. And this is when she became like
nothing like your brother hitting on your girl, right?
Yeah.
Scott can't be with anybody without somebody else wanting her.
Right.
Well, he
like nobody wants a woman until Scott Summers is with him, and then all of a sudden, like, oh, I want to be with her.
But then I started to read into it, and it was like, wait a minute, Madeline was with the X-Men, and Jean Grey. I was like, why do they look like each other? Because I didn't know they were clones of each other and all that. But come to find out, later on, find out that Cyclops left Madeline to go back to Jean. He had a baby with Madeline, and still left her. And I was like, yo, this soap opera is crazy going on here. This is crazy. And then she becomes the Goblin Queen. And they're just like fighting through the whole thing. And like stuff like this, like Wolverine and Archangel fighting. There we go.
Man, every time I see this
taking
stuff,
out that tree.
I miss newsprint. I love the way comics
Right?
look on newsprint.
Right? It looks
Yeah.
so good.
Read.
And come to find out, Storm and Forge was a group. And then look how Silvestri was drawing these guys.
How you doing?
Right? It was just great at the time. But yeah, this was my first one that I really, really fell in love with. And I was all in. I was all in for this. Yeah. Trying to see if there's any other.
Inferno was such a great series.
Oh my god, it's so good.
Like, and I love that when you're reading it from each person's book, like every person's perspective, they all think it's their fault.
Yeah.
Like, look at that.
So did Mark Silvestri, is he the one who originated her costume, Madeline Pryor's Goblin Queen costume?
I believe so,
I'm curious.
because it came in what issue? It came in the previous issue, right? Like 241 or something like that.
That's
With Sinister, I believe. But yeah.
X-Men 168.
I was a little disappointed with Inferno when I had to go get the other chapter and it wasn't drawn by Silvestri. That's why I knew. I was like, oh, they got different artists for different books. I was like, I don't know if I like this. I don't know. But yeah. So that's those are my 12, guys.
Well, that's a great
enjoyed
12. And it's been
Yeah.
a while since we had a Marvel-centric episode, which I appreciate.
Indeed.
Although I don't know, I mean, G.I. Joe is like proprietary. Yeah.
Yeah, but he had G.I. Joe proper on from the Marvel years.
Yes.
There you go.
And G.I. Joe, Marvel's G.I. Joe was nothing like the animated show. It was totally different. They focused more on the ninja aspect of it, which I loved. Like Larry Hama got so deep with the ninja lore with Storm Shadow and Snake Eyes, and it was just such a great book.
I'm a little
Yeah.
disappointed that there was absolutely no DC book. I'm a little
No, there's no DC that moved me like that. No.
Wow.
I'm with you on that one. I actually, there's one DC series that I absolutely love, and I reread it every couple years, and that's Camelot 3000. Man, do I love that series! It's so good. Oh, and I misspoke. Also, Starfire. Jim knows I read that one all the time.
Yeah.
The original Sword and Sorcery Starfire, not the Teen Titans Starfire. But there's they have a couple, but I like the oddball stuff. But yeah, that was those are great books.
Maybe.
I love that you brought Cloak and Dagger, who I think are underutilized characters. They're so good, and their dynamic is great, and they look dynamic. Just the way their costumes are juxtaposed to each other, it just looks fantastic. Long Shot's another good bring. Infinity Gauntlet, everybody loves. That's just one of those universally loved
Yeah.
things.
That's classic.
But yeah, great stuff. Of course, it's always great to see Uncanny 248.
Oh, it's the gem right
Nut punching the Hulk in the Amazing Spider-Man.
there.
Right up
Yeah,
there.
and I think that was right around time too, because I think just good stuff, man. Sam, thank you so much. That was great.
Thank you. I loved it. Let me
we-
bring back some stuff. That's great.
Right. Well, that's what this show's about, right? It's just about the love of comics and these stories, and about remembering them and what makes them special to you.
Yeah.
And that's what that's as collectors, that's what we really connect with, is the passion part of it, right?
Right.
Right.
And,
We gotta look past this. I don't know. The comic space is a very funny space right now. And I remember where comics was, hey, if you like that, cool. If you like that, cool. If you like that,
Right.
here's this, cool. But now it's just like, oh, you like that, you're a dummy. Oh, you done this, you're a dummy. And it's just very negative. And
We don't do that on this show.
yeah, we try
We
not
don't-
to do it on our show as well.
We don't do that.
Depends on how
No,
much
it's just about the
Sam
love of
wants to tease me.
stories.
Yeah.
It's
Okay,
usually
what was that, Cliff?
it's usually Cliff coming in like, do you know what happened today? I'm like, no, I don't want to know what happened today.
Well,
Oh
let's-
yeah,
let's-
true. I gotta keep them up. Me and Ciff are the only ones keeping them up on the drama. They're like, oh, you don't even want to know what happened.
I
Oh my
get
God.
yelled at because I say something's crap, but I'm like, that's my opinion. You don't have to agree with it.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
We only, yeah, exactly. So let's go around the panel. We'll start, of course, always with my co-host Jim on Thursdays. Jim, what's coming up for you, sir?
I'm hoping to get out one more time to do a dig and maybe shoot some digging footage because it's getting cold. I mean, it's cold now, but we're supposed to get up into like the 50s and I might be able to go out. But if it gets much colder after that, I might have to hang up the shovel. I don't know if I'm going to be able to dig in. I'm not a big believer in digging when it's super cold. But and then I did get a package. I'm debating whether or not I'm going to make a video of it. I may not. I'm just kind of pushing on. And then, I'm trying to think of things to do for 2025. I'm really looking at possibly doing a semi-type review. I'm hoping to also convince Brother John to do a collab. The two of us do something together. If I can get him to nail down some time. So we'll see.
Do
All right,
something
and Cliff, what's coming up for you, sir?
Oh my goodness, what isn't coming up for me in the near future? First and foremost, this Saturday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, I've got Paul from Power of X-Men coming on. That's going to be freaking phenomenal. I can't wait. We're going to it's just going to be something else. I've only wanted this for like 2 straight years of YouTube. And so that's amazing. I'm going to try and like have some stuff to look forward to in 2029. Yeah, that's right. I need 4 years.
2029.
4 years.
Good ways away, but you keep going.
No, it's just this is like hard and like trying to like do stuff like the game show stuff or whatever is difficult, but I would like to bring that back. But mostly I'm very happy with Comics and Cocktails, which Gary B will be my second guest, and Comics and Coffee. I'm very pleased with those, and I feel like it's a new way to engage the comic book community interview process.
All right, and green shirt guy, Reinaldo, what's coming up for you, sir?
So obviously, I'm on the show with these two gentlemen on Sundays, Tuesdays, or Sunday, Mondays, and Wednesdays. With Sunday at 5, Monday at 8, Wednesday at 8. I'll let Sam go into all the details on that. This weekend, for people in the Poughkeepsie area, I'm doing a craft show. So I'll be selling some artwork at that. If you want to come to that, Anderson Center for Autism. And then on the 14th, I'm doing Toys for Tots with Cliff.
Which is at our LCS.
Yes.
All right, and coming up for me next Tuesday, we have Pocan Joe doing a Villains Covers edition of the 10-1-1. Then on the 12th, we have DJ Lynx and Mark coming on to do their own movie edition in the vein of John's Comics for Kids and Chuck Hensey's. They're both given a list by Cliff. And then on the 13th, we have the Lucky VIP Lounge gift exchange that night. And then I'm going to take the stage here for a second because you guys saw me looking to the side. We got some I got to just address this. We got some absolutely horrible news.
Jen.
Shit. Jen's Comics with Kids is past. Jen's comic books will break your heart has passed away from cancer. So. I'm sorry, I thought I could hold it together to announce it, but can't really. Notifications are out. They're letting everybody know. We just want to take a moment to remember Jen, whose kindness touched everybody in the community. Touched me as well. She was a great person. Super honored to have known her. And our condolences are with everyone that has ever been touched by that wonderful human being. So. That's it. I just wanted to bring that up because we got the news and I didn't want to just let it go by.
Yep.
Sorry to end the show on a downer, guys, but we had to acknowledge Jen. So,
yeah, her and Morris had a great show together. I know that Travis, Comics with Bueller, is very, very close with her. John's Comics with Kids flew up there to Portland to see her this last probably month or so ago, and she fought a good fight. This is why we do C3. I mean, guys, this is exactly the reason why we do C3. You just gotta get out there. With all the technology that we have, we still can't seem to whoop this deadly beast that touches everyone. Everyone has had it. I mean, their family. You can't tell me somebody's, oh, nobody ever got it in my family. I don't believe it. So, put that in. Think about the family. Think about, putting that in your heart. It's Christmas time is about giving. Maybe consider giving a donation in her name. Yeah, she was smart. I mean, the videos I watched just, she's so smart. I mean, she just could crank it out. I am not one of those people where I can recall like some people, and she's one of them. So she was a great human being, and like I said, her and Morris had a great show together, and I remember her, one of the first videos she did that I watched made me want to go and explore more of the indie side of things because I was so stuck on the big too. So yeah, definitely if you get a chance, check them out, because that's something that Gary's always said, and I never really, it hit me until recently, and this is a good opportunity to say it. YouTube, what you do on YouTube, you really should think about, because it's there. I'm like, he's making these videos so that maybe one day his son may want to go and look, say, hey, my dad was on YouTube. Let me go check these videos out. And that's the great thing. We can go back and look at old videos of people that have passed.
And that's my code of conduct on here. Yeah, you saw me speak about it. What? That's why I skip all the drama.
Yeah.
When I'm not around anymore, and my kid wants to see his dad, and he goes to YouTube, I want him to only see something positive. That I was positive. That was nice to people. And if I had my friends on like you guys, and we busted each other's balls, that there was a camaraderie there and a friendship, and that everything was always done out of respect and love, and nothing was ever meant to hurt anybody. It's why we don't engage in negativity on this channel. It's just not what we do.
Right.
Instead, we get to meet great guys like Reinaldo and Sam this week, who are new to the channel. Reinaldo, I've already dragged back on. I'm going to drag him on some more in the future. Sure. Sam, you're part of the family now that you've been on. We'll drag you back on.
This is a terrible time for the wind.
We're going to make sure that you come back. If you had fun, I hope you did.
Oh,
yeah, I'm sorry. The wind picked up again. But Sam, I hope you'll come back. I hope you had a great time. And I did not mean a great time, man. Thank you for letting me. But as
maybe
always,
next time he'll bring some DC
books. As always, I want to thank my buddy Jim for every Thursday that he's here. Thank you, Jim, so much. Also, thank you to Cliff, who spends a generous amount of time on my channel. Thank you, Cliff. I may pick on you, right? Well, yeah, we've had a few months. I pick on Cliff, but Cliff is an absolutely fantastic human being who it's been my pleasure to get to know this year. So thank you, Cliff. and for Cliff for introducing me to awesome people like Reinaldo and Sam. Thank you, gents, for your time tonight and this week. I appreciate it. And of course, none of this happens without our audience. So to all of you who are watching us, thank you guys so much. We appreciate you. And as I like to end all these things, got to find my brand. Don't let me mess it up, Jim. You're back, so you're in control of this now.
Okay.
Keep it casual.